Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Amy Howard, and I'm coming live to you from Memphis, Tennessee. It's about 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. And every Wednesday, we use this as an opportunity just to kind of be able to share projects that we do in our test kitchen here, as well as give you some product information and tips if you like doing DIY decor or do-it-yourself decor. So today we're going to be going over a couple of products with you, one being our Rescue Restore paint, specifically in an incredibly gorgeous blue, Summer Nights. Let me open this for you so you can see it. Look at that gorgeous blue. And we're going to be working with our ChalkArt in Summer Melon. Now, I want to tell you first, let me open that up so you can see it. I want to make sure that you understand the difference first. So, the Rescue Restore paint is a water-based, chalk-based paint that allows you to be able to paint or coat almost any surface. You can use it on concrete, brick, melamine, lacquered surfaces, and of course you can use it on things like books. The other product that we have that we're going to be working with is called ChalkArt. This is not a chalk-based paint. It is a paste type consistency that has casein and calcium carbonate in it, which is a combination of chalk and milk. So it allows you to be able to do some distressing, but it also is great to be able to use with our tri-mesh stencils and our stamps. So I'm going to be showing you how to use these 4 products pretty easily. And actually it's a fun project to be able to decorate some of those old books. If you have your old Reader's Digest, they're great, easy books to paint. And a lot of times when I go to Goodwill, I can get a whole box of books for a couple of dollars. Matter of fact, I've gotten an entire box of about 50 books one time for $5. So look at this little grouping that we did earlier here and how adorable they are. These were painted on both sides with Summer Nights, and we used our stencil of our French wording with our Summer Melon ChalkArt, and then here I used our Rescue Restore paint in Blessed with my stamp of my bumblebee on top of it. So what a cute project. It's really fun to be able to do a grouping of these that you can have in your bookcase like this with maybe something setting on top of it, or you might have this as a base and be able to set some picture frames on top of it. And because our Rescue Restore paint comes in 12 gorgeous colors, of course this whole palette could totally change depending on what you decided to paint it in. So one of the first things I want to be able to show you is very simply how to be able to paint it. You want to be able to use our 2-inch wedge. This is an incredible new brush that we have here in a Maker Studio. If you're not familiar with the Maker Studio, ask a maker or somebody that's told you about it. You can go to our website and find a maker near you, and they will tell you about all the incredible tools that we have. This is just one of our brushes, but I love it because it will work on oil-based paints, it'll work on water-based paints, it works with shellacs and sealers, and it puts it on beautifully smooth and without any streaks at all. So what you want to do is be able to load up your paint so you can see how I'm just kind of mixing it up just a little bit with my brush. The common mistake that a lot of people make is that they don't get enough paint on their brush. So I'm going to offload this a little bit, but look, I'm going to hold it up so that way it's not going to be dripping. And then I'm going to come over here on my book. So I'll start on the flat surface. I'm only going to be painting the top part of the book. And because this is such a small surface area, I'm going to pretty much be able to paint the entire book with the paint that I loaded up with this brush. Notice how I'll lay it down and then flip it over, because that way it's got paint on both sides. And then I'll continue to just move this over and paint the spine as well. So you'll see how I'll brush it across. I'll turn my brush over just to make sure that I've painted the whole thing. Now with this dark color, I'm getting pretty spectacular coverage, but I do like to come back and do 2 coats on this. So I'm not going to paint the whole thing. I just wanted you to see how easy it is. make sure you just lay your brush down this way. That way I flip it over and go back and forth. I would not suggest painting the spine. If you do, a lot of times it's fun. I mean, as far as the pages themselves, a lot of times I'll gild them, which can look a lot of fun. So I'm going to set this aside. Remember, the nice thing about the Rescue Restore paint is that it has no VOCs. It does have beautiful essential oils in it, so it actually smells really good. But it's going to dry in about 15 to 20 minutes. So you want to make sure if you're working outside in the summer that you're not too much in the direct sunlight. You want to make sure you're in the shade, and that you don't work in front of a fan because that's going to dry it too quickly, and always work with a wet edge. So now if you're working in between coats, you may want to just take some saran wrap or a little baggie and wrap this up. That way it'll keep it nice and moist, because you don't want to leave it like this and allow it to dry, because it's going to get hard on you and it will be difficult to clean. But because it is a water-based paint, you can very easily clean it with soap and water. But if you take care of this brush, I always store the brushes up like this and don't lay the bristles down and to last you for years to come. Sorry, it looks like somebody's calling me on my phone, so thank you, Lisa Mack. All right, so this book actually just has one coat on it. We painted it earlier. And it looks like I need to clean my hand, so I'm sorry. Let me get a paper towel here and clean that, so that way I'm not going to get it over my surface. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my stencils. I've actually cut this one up. It's a little bit bigger, and these are tri-mesh stencils that you can use over and over again. They're actually, they come in a packaging like this. And we keep them in these little containers in the studio just to keep them nice and flat. But the cool thing about these tri-meshes is that they have an adhesive back and you can use them again and again. And they're a lot like a silk screening effect that you would get if you've ever done any silk screening of t-shirts or if you've seen that done. And so I'm going to, matter of fact, let me flip my book around and I'm going to take this up to the edge like this. And I'm just going to lay this down to where it's pretty much centered. And I'm going to take my Summer Melon ChalkArt. You know, you could use the Rescue Restore paint for this as well, but I think it's fun to use the ChalkArt because I love the matte finish that it has, and I love the easeability of working with it with these stencils. So I'm just going to lay this down like this. I'm loading up my color, and I'm literally putting it on here just like I'm icing a cake. So I'm going to get just a little bit more. You just want to make sure that you don't lose any of the areas that has your lettering on it, because I'm going to be able to take this all the way around, as you'll notice. Let's look at my book right here. So see how I started it at the top and I took it all the way down, and I just continued it on to my spine as well as wrapping it on the other side. So that's what I'm doing on this. I had just cut this earlier, but I'm going to move it down so I'm getting it everywhere. But you see just a little bit of this ChalkArt is going to go a long, long way. All right, so let's lift this up. Can you see that? Just how easy that is? Isn't that fun? You know, part of the beauty of this is the fact that there are chalk artists that do this for a living, and they're incredibly good at it. But you can buy our stencils and do this yourself, and it can look as good or better, and it's a lot easier to do. The cool thing about this is also with our ChalkArt, it has no VOCs. It's natural and safe for children to be able to use, and it dries almost instantly. After about 5 minutes, it's dry enough that I can move forward. And the other great thing about the ChalkArt is that it's not going to smear. Once this is dry, it's not going to smear, and it's going to look beautiful, and it's going to allow me to be able to enjoy it for months or years to come. If you do like it and you want to keep it permanent, you can come back with a sealer and seal the ChalkArt. Part of what we love about the ChalkArt is the versatility of it. So you can use it, you can enjoy it, and then you can wipe it off and you can do a whole new project. But if you like it this way, you can seal it. You can use wax on it. I would say be very careful because of the rubbing action of it. Can have a tendency to wipe the chalk art off, but you can use our matte sealer and it will make chalk art projects like this permanent. So, all right, another thing I want to be able to show you, I'm going to set that aside. And on this book, how I did the bumblebee, I just want to show you how fun that is. Be honest with you, you could do these projects like this. You could paint watercolor paper or foam core and do images like this and frame them as a piece of art. I think that's really interesting. You could have maybe 3 different images. You could do 3 different sizes of bumblebees. Maybe have a large one and a medium and a small one. You might even gild on top of it. Which I'm going to show you that in just a second. So basically I'm just going to show you on this other side how I did that bumblebee. And I'm going to take my Blessed, that's the name of the color, and our Rescue Restore paint. And when we're working with these stamps, I'm going to use a foam dome brush. I have put the stamp onto this backing. So you see how there's a picture of that stamp. And it's just sitting on top of a mylar, real heavy polyethylene mylar type material that allows me to be able to handle it to go and press it down like this. So I'm going to dip my brush into my Rescue paint. I'm going to offload it just a little. That way you want to make sure that it's not too saturated.